Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Appreciate you stopping by. Today, what we're going to be doing is finishing up maintenancing on this new truck here. New to me, 2019 F-350. On a previous video, we changed the engine oil, cabin air filter, fuel filters, maybe one or two other odd and end things. I don't exactly remember. But to kind of finish off the maintenance of this truck, we're going to change the front and rear differential gear oil and the transmission fluid and filter change. So let's get into it. So as far as the front and rear differential, for the front, we've got some 80-90 conventional, and now for the rear, it calls for 75-140 full synthetic. That stuff wasn't very cheap. This is about $100 just in daggone gear oil. Just went ahead and went with some Motorcraft, Ford, Mercon 5 ATF, and then of course a Ford transmission filter. So I reckon we'll start with the rear diff, just because I think it'll probably be the easiest. There's different axles you can get on this truck. This is a dual rear wheel 2019 F-350. This is a big Dana M something. I don't remember exactly which one it is, but all of the Dana axles take that 75-140. So it's got 410 gear ratio. But to drain the fluid on this one, you actually don't have to bust the whole cover off. The bottom bolt holding the cover on is actually a through hole, so it will drain through that bolt, which is very nice. These are 12-point bolt heads. Let's see, 1/2 inch 12-point. So we'll go ahead and try and bust. Now supposedly it holds a little less than 4 quarts, 3.8 something. So we'll see. And there is a stamp on the back of this cover that says drain with an arrow pointed to this bolt. And sure enough, there it comes. Hindsight being 2020, I probably should have made sure that fill cap was going to come off first, just on the off chance something is wrong with it. However, I have another vehicle, so I have a means of transportation, so it's not that big of a deal. That looks like it's going to be a 3/4 square head. So we'll let this drain for a minute, and I'll try and bust that fill cap loose. Fill cap has a magnet on it, and there it is. You can see a little mushroom of material on there, but not too bad. I mean, you're going to expect that on what I'm assuming this is going to be the first time this differential fluid has been changed. But that's not bad at all. It's all fine, no big chunks. Looks better than when I changed it for the first time on my Tacoma. And it's still going with 300,000 miles on it. So this slowed down to a real slow drip. Click. Torqued up. Just kidding. Not real worried about it. Alright, so now let's see. We'll get our Valvoline full synthetic advanced gear oil. I'm not a super huge fan of the bags, but it does make it kind of easy for filling this thing up. Alright, so there's what I think is all of that first quart. Going in with the second quart. Going in with the third. Fourth. So this thing, like I said 3.87, I believe, in the manual. So we're about to see. So that was 4 quarts. And we're not spilling over yet. That, I think, was just from me. See if I can combine what's in these 4 bags into one. And maybe get just a little bit more in there. Might actually see if I can. Oh yeah, she's dang near full. I would like to let it spill over if I could. So I tried to fit all the goodie that I could into this last, from all 4 bags into this one bag here to see if we can make it spill over. Pardon my dog here, sitting on my leg. Like we got a cat coming up here too. Alright, I guess that's all we're gonna get out of it. Still not spilling over. Oh yeah, we're right here close to the top. So that's 4 quarts. It calls for 3.87, I believe. So that's probably good. I might end up buying another quart just to have it spill over. I'm not sure. So it's the next day. I stopped by a different Walmart and got 1 more quart because I just feel better about it if it's just barely spilling out the back. I know it's probably plenty in there. There it goes. So here we are under the truck at the transmission, and I have a feeling this is probably going to be the least fun of what we're going to do today, because there's no drain plug on this 6R140 transmission. So we're going to have to take all of these bolts and drop this whole pan to get the fluid out and to change the filter. So I got a feeling we're really going to make a mess here. So this is a, I believe 5/16. Yes, 5/16 bolts all the way around. There is a little gasket. It's supposed to be reusable, but keep in mind I've got about 122,000 miles on this truck, so we will see how reusable a rubber gasket is with that many miles. We might be waiting till tomorrow to get a new gasket if this one turns out to be crusty. Oh, dirt knives. Man, I just don't feel like there's any way of doing this without making an absolute mess. I think I'm going to go grab some pig mats. Little helper. Little get in the wayer. Alright, I found 3 pig mats. That's all I got. So I'm sure we're going to make a sure enough mess. But on my nice concrete. But hey, What's the point of having it if you ain't gonna work on it? Here it goes. Oh. That's not as bad as I thought it'd be. All right. Free and clear. Well, I'll tell you what. I think they could have put a little bit more effort into making that more serviceable for your average Joe. I'm sure that's on purpose, though, to encourage you to bring it to the dealership. Buy a Ford, they said. So it should be 3 bolts, 5/16 again bolts, holding in our transmission oil filter. This fluid needed some changing. I do not like the color of it. Long one. Right here is another one towards the back of the truck. And then back over here on the driver's side, one more. It definitely seems like a 1/4 inch drive. Ratchet and socket is the way to go for this. Or a wrench. Alright, let's see if we can. I tell you what, we are riding on full on our drain pan. Fluid's dark, but doesn't smell bad. Doesn't really smell like burnt. Just mighty dark. Now we got that old filter out of the way. Come grab our new one. Same part number. If you have a 6R140 transmission, it is that's a 6-speed transmission. This is a part number BC3P-7G186-BF, and then whatever this little number is below it is S132B, and that is this is a Ford filter. Now, I did notice it had just a slight little bit of surface rust on it, so I got some very fine Scotch-Brite Brillo pad, and I'm just going to see if I can't get that off of there. Not that it probably would hurt it, but it just make me feel better. That got most of it. Wipe her down a little bit. Alright. Now she's good and ready to be installed. Now, let's see, is this gonna... Yep. Pop right in there. Our bolt for this side. Good grief. I didn't check to see if all these bolts were the same size, but I just laid them out the same way they came out of the transmission, so I know I'd get them in the right spot. But they look very similar in size. I tell you what I'm interested in is what Ford charges to do this job, because while it is messy, no doubt about that, if you got the space to do it, it's not a bad job. These don't need to be crazy tight. There's a O-ring holding this filter in anyways. If any of y'all know what Ford would charge for this type of service, drop it down in the comments, because I'm interested. So the pan is pretty clean. There's a few little specks of stuff. The magnet, just a little bit of material. I have never changed any transmission fluid, believe it or not, but I'm not sure what's typical. This sure doesn't look like very much. I've changed fluid in, like that old backhoe had a reverser, kind of like a transmission, and it was in good shape. And this is pretty similar to, maybe even less in this than what was in that old 310 backhoe. But I don't think this is too bad. So we'll just get this all cleaned up, wiped down, and ready to go back in. Alright, so I got this magnet good and cleaned up about the best I can. There's still some teeny tiny little stuff that I just can't seem to get off. But I think we're ready to stick it back in its place. The rest of this is pretty good. I might wipe it down one more time before we go back in. But now I think I'm gonna just wipe this gasket down and make sure it's good and clean and ready to reinstall. So this gasket looks pretty good. I think I'm going to give it a shot and try and reuse it. I don't see any reason visually why that wouldn't be okay. So I think I will jump back under the truck, wipe that mating surface down a little bit before I take this back under there. So we'll get you back under there right before we install this pan and gasket. Alright, so we've got the gasket surfaces all cleaned up, the gasket itself cleaned up. Like I said, I'm going to reuse it. I don't see anything wrong with it. I have cleaned the mating surface on the body of the transmission. Wipe this inside down one more good time. I think we're done here. Go ahead and get the transmission closed back up. All right. Don't have any more transmission fluid beating us in the head. All our bolts are installed. I suppose we'll work from midpoint out on tightening these up. torque spec's probably somewhere around 8 foot-pounds to 8 to 10, 12 maybe. I know about what that feels like, so. Don't quote me on that torque spec either, I'm just speculating. If somebody knows, drop her down in the comments. I think we got this all good and tightened down. I'm gonna get me a can of brake cleaner and a rag and wipe all this down, so when we start filling her up, we'll be able to spot any leaks, or if our 120,000 mile old rubber gasket is gonna give out on us. I gotta empty out my drain pan here. We've got quite a bit of fluid. It's not super red anymore. Man, this dipstick's a mile long. We've got our pan back installed. I bought a whole case of this Mercon 5, they call it, although I did look up the Roman numeral for LV, and that's 55, so I don't know where to get the 5 from, but we'll call it what the masses call it, I guess. So I bought a case off of Amazon. It was about $100, so I don't feel like that was a terrible price. So I believe in the manual it says it holds 13 and some odd quarts, so a case is 12. But we didn't get every little bit out of the transmission. You know, there's some probably left in the valve body and things like that, so I don't think we'll even need this whole 12 quarts. I can tell you this is going to take a while filling it like this. Probably going to put about 8 quarts in it and see where we're at on the dipstick cold, and then I'll get back with you. Here's the 8th quart going in. I think after this I'll stick the dipstick down in there and see where we're at. Let's thread this baby back down in here. All right, 8 quarts. And we are all the way up the dipstick, just like we were before. So now that we got the transmission, we got 8 quarts in the transmission. We're going to fire the truck up and let it sit, kind of start warming up. I'm gonna shift through the gears, hold my foot on the brake, reverse neutral drive, and let the valves open up and do whatever a transmission does. And then we'll let it sit for a minute and come back and check our transmission fluid and see how exactly where we're at. Alright, so I ran through the gears twice. Guess we'll let it set for just a second, and we'll check our fluid. Transmission's not very hot, but it's up around 100 degrees. So at 8 quarts, we're just barely at the bottom of the hash marks. So running through the gears again, I'm even lower than I was before. So I think I'm going to go ahead and add at least a half a quart. So we'll let that settle in and see where we're at, and then we might take her for a test drive. So I got her warmed up to about 175, 180 degrees now. Just took her for a little test drive. Definitely needs some. So I'm at 10 quarts now of fresh fluid, and we'll check her. It's getting pretty close. I think this might be it. Okay, so if y'all can see, 10 quarts put me right there on the dipstick. So I'm gonna call that good. I'm happy with that. Next on the list is the front diff. We weren't as lucky, and we don't have a drain plug on this, so we're gonna have to bust the whole cover off. By the way, these are 9/16 on the front diff. So we have all those bolts zipped out, and this one up top loose so we can not drop the pan. So I'm gonna try here at breaking the seal. That's not the best looking. Almost looks like water got in that. Slightly concerning. This is a perfect case in point of why you might want to do some of this type of stuff. I wouldn't have imagined that fluid looked like that, so now I'm extra glad we're doing this. So nothing is looking abnormally worn. I have checked around, and it's really not looking too bad, but I am glad we caught this early to maybe prevent any premature bearing failures or just premature wear. So I'm going to get this all cleaned out, wiped down, get all this old gear oil out of here I can, and go ahead and start cleaning these mating surfaces. So I finally got that cleaned up with a razor blade, some of that same Scotch-Brite Brillo pad, and for the tough stuff, I ended up using a wire wheel on my drill motor. Be real careful with that. If you try that, you can dig in pretty hard. So for a gasket material, I'm going to use some Permatex Black silicone RTV. I'm pretty happy with that. So I've cleaned and wiped down, obviously, this front differential cover. Also, I've done the same to the housing, so we're ready to put this back in place. Sneak this housing up in here. Get us a bolt started. Get this pressed in. Let's run a couple down tight. I'm probably going to get a ratchet, tighten these up by hand. I wish one of y'all would have hollered, let me forget the axle tag. Now we'll let that sit and cure. We'll be ready to fill her up. So I'll let this RTV set overnight to cure. Now we are ready to start filling her up. I got my little pump on a bottle of 80/90. Ready to get her going. This is our third quart going in. Oh, this is the end of our third quart. We're still not spilling over. I feel like the capacity on this one was just 2 and something. Let's see if I can pour out what's left in those other 2 bottles and see if we can make it. I combined what was left in them other 2 bottles, which was actually quite a bit. We'll see if this will push us over the edge. Look, we got some seepage. That's what we want to see. Alright, well, it definitely took just under 3 quarts. So the last item on the checklist is the transfer case fluid. I believe it is now just ATF, that Mercon 5 transmission fluid. So I despise the way this is set up with this little cross member or skid plate or whatever it is. It's 2 bolts on this side and 2 bolts on the other side over there. So I tried to bust this off so it wouldn't make such a mess. But apparently there is a nut on the back side of this, and I cannot reach it through the frame. So I'm not even exactly sure how you're supposed to take that off. I feel like it's going to make an absolute mess. Here we go. No time like the present. On this one, I'm actually going to check first. Oh, yeah. Super loose. Let's see where we're at. Okay, nothing comes out. I do feel a little something. Oh, yeah. Drain plug was pretty loose as well. Oh, here we go. I kind of forgot I had this, but I actually found this massive, I'm not sure what it is, like supposed to be a bury in the ground little fish pond or something, but that's going to make a great catch pan. So we'll use that along with our legitimate catch pan. There it goes. That slowed down quite a bit. So we'll go ahead and put our drain plug back in and start filling. So y'all don't make too much fun of me, but I could not find a funnel with a hose on it, a flexible funnel of any kind. I thought I had one, guess not. Or a clean piece of tubing to run in here. So what I've done is made me a tinfoil funnel, and we're gonna give it a shot. Yep, that's about how I figured that would go. I think this is more of a pain than it's worth. Something I should have done in the first place, but I thought I could get by without it. So I cleaned out the gear oil little pump. Whew, alright, well that was a struggle, and I just barely did have enough to get it to spill over. Probably if I hadn't spilt half of that first quart on the ground, It'd have been all right. Whew, alrighty guys. So that completes our maintenance. Finally, we have done rear differential, front differential, transmission, and the transfer case. That is all the maintenance I have in my head that I wanted to get done to this truck. Really glad we did, because we found that front diff was holding a little water. Glad we got that taken care of. Hopefully, guess I'll have to drive through a puddle and then check it afterwards. Really glad to get that done. Guys, if there's anything else you want to see with this truck, please let me know. If you saw me do something stupid, which I can guarantee you did, let me know down in the comments what you would have done differently. Maybe this gave you some ideas of how you can better service your own truck. Thank you for stopping by. That's all I had planned for today. So guys, if you would, please drop a like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you'd like to see me working on next. Y'all have a blessed day.